Well, education is really important for us, and that's another misconception that people always think that we Hispanics don't value education. Education is a priority. The issue is that access to education sometimes is really complicated in our countries. It's not that people don't want to go to school, don't want to go to college. It's just that the situation that you live in don't allow you to access education. But education is a priority. We also think that even if families come where parents didn't have those opportunities in Latin America, it doesn't necessarily have to be the same experience here for their kids. So we encourage our children to get educated, to further their education. Not necessarily you have to always expect from a child to get a 4 year college degree, but it's completely different if at least you get a license. Because being a welder, being a plumber, those are careers that pay really well, but it's completely different if you are a welder that has a license versus working for somebody else. We as Hispanics are very entrepreneurial, and our families are always looking for, selling tamales, selling cakes. And I think the pandemic showed to us and our people realize that instead of working for somebody, you can also be business owner. So all of that implies education. In order to have a successful business, you need to get educated because the difference is that in our countries, you may open a business in your garage, but here in the States, it's not, you cannot do that. So it is important to make a business plan, a marketing plan, to make sure that you get educated and you know that you have to pay your taxes and get licensed and just go to the right path to have a successful business. And all that implies education. But it's not just education for the Hispanic community. I think that is also education for anybody else that have contact with the Hispanic community. There are some cultural differences that are important and that you also need to educate the English speaking community, the Anglo community, on those cultural differences that make us understand each other better. Um, uh, I have some examples, and I always tell we do education also for law enforcement personnel, and we always tell them like something as simple as a car seat. In Latin America, we are not required to use a car seat when we are transporting a child. When you come to the United States, I mean, you can easily fail on doing that just because you were used to not using a car seat. So it's a big thing here not to use a car seat when you have a baby or a child. So that requires education, a level of education. It's not people trying to break the law. It's just that it's completely different on how the system works in our country. So that's why we think that the more education you receive, the more access to education, I think that it brings a lot more opportunities for our people to succeed in this country.